Tonight, a Target 12 investigators exclusive, Time and Punishment.
In his first television interview, Chief Judge William Smith of Rhode Island's federal court weighs in on the Trump administration's push to hand down harsher sentences, particularly in drug cases.
It's a controversial policy that was given new life by Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Let's get to Target 12 investigator Tim White with the exclusive details.
Federal judges have a lot of discretion when handing down sentences, weighing a number of factors before deciding a defendant's fate. But all of that goes away when a person is charged with a crime that triggers what's called a mandatory minimum. U.S. District Court Chief Judge William Smith says sentencing day is always challenging for judges.
He or she would tell you that sentencing is the hardest thing that we do.
He says a judge weighs a long list of factors, including the crime and the community that was hurt, as well as the person standing before him in the courtroom.
But with every defendant, there is a whole story. There's a life that's been lived. It's often a complicated life.
But if the charge triggers a mandatory minimum, a judge has no choice but to impose a minimum sentence that they cannot lower.
Do you think they should exist?
Sure. Well, I just described to you that entire constellation of things that we think about when we step into the courtroom to sentence a defendant. Mandatory minimums make all of that irrelevant.
Under the Obama administration, then Attorney General Eric Holder gave a directive to U.S. attorneys across the country to avoid charges that triggered a mandatory minimum sentence for low-level nonviolent offenders. Then in May, new Attorney General Jeff Sessions reversed course, issuing this memo instructing prosecutors to pursue the most serious charges.
So no, I'm not a fan of mandatory minimums. I'm against them. I think they're bad policy.
You know, I think there are times when mandatory minimum sentences are appropriate, and they've certainly been passed by Congress.
Former U.S. Attorney Peter Nerona says while he was in office, prosecutors weren't quick to seek charges that automatically triggered a minimum sentence.
I think as prosecutors we want to be thoughtful about that. So what I try to do is to keep in mind the judge's unique role in sentencing. Ultimately, it's they who sentence, recognizing that mandatory minimums can tie their hands.
Critics of mandatory minimums say the laws are overly harsh and have led to a ballooning prison population.
There are many, many horror stories about the application of mandatory minimums to defendants who really should not have gone to prison for as long as they did. I think it's bad policy to take that discretion away from trial court judges.
Time will tell how the Sessions memo will impact charges and sentencing here. In a statement, Stephen Dambrook, the acting U.S. attorney in Rhode Island, says, in part, Attorney General Sessions' directive returns to our prosecutors necessary tools to fight violent crime while providing discretion to handle their cases without unnecessary interference from Washington. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, Eyewitness News.